Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to another edition of Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. The race for the finals heats up. We're into round 15, 4 games on Saturday. All of them have finals implications in their own right. Paul Persick with you in the BackChat studios, and joining me once again is Mark Foreman. Hello to you, Mark. A big round ahead.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Paul. Thank you. Good to be back. And I've tried to wear my ugly sweater again. I'm surprised you didn't notice on Tuesday.
Well, you're adopting the Christmas in July spirit again, man.
Yes, and I'm running out of options as to I don't even know what I'm going to wear next week, but let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Absolutely. Fashion ain't on the agenda today, but what is on the agenda, of course, we'll preview 4 games this weekend as part of round 15, and we've got a question that our fans would be keen to get involved with. Let us know in the comments below on our YouTube channel or on our socials. We'll ask that question a little later on, but heading into round 15, Mark, the race for 5th place is now alive. We said on Tuesday that possibility 3 teams will battle for 5th place, even though there's a large deficit. Advantage, has to be said, goes to Subiaco.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, like we did touch on it on Tuesday. It was, a performance like Swan District's last weekend means that, look, it's going to be very tough for them because they're 3 games back as well as percentage. But by knocking off Subiaco, they've sort of showed that it's a shame in a way because, they've put themselves that far back, but we know what they can produce when they put the foot down. So
the Swans are a much better side than what the record this season shows. 5 wins and 8 losses, including those 5 by less than 10 points that they lost, and a few of those at home.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, that's why it's a shame to see them so far down because a very loyal supporter base and a club that we know can really turn it on. So losing those close games has cost them. So I'd be super surprised to see them make it. But with a result like we saw last week, they showed that they probably deserve to be in there if they can string a few together. But West Perth probably the ones to take it off Subiaco, if anybody. But Subi's had a brilliant year.
They certainly have. Subiaco, they've had a great year. As far as West Perth is concerned, they haven't been convincing. Nothing has really gelled this year. Maybe still basking in the content of the premiership glory from last October. And, of course, with a transitional period now with Darren Harris leaving the club, Jason Salisic now coming in, it's going to be all about how it's going to be for 2024, you'd say. Even though they're about 3 wins out of the 5, 2 wins out of the 5, really, it's going to be very difficult for West Perth because they've got a couple of big games coming up, starting off with Claremont, and then maybe an easy stretch towards round 20. That last round, they've got their arch rivals in Joondalup, East Perth.
Yeah, exactly right. In a way, it's almost a good thing for West Perth because if they are to make it, they're the teams that they're going to need to beat, which means they're almost 8-point games, because if West Coast can gain the 4 and prevent the teams above them from getting it, then that's their way in. So it'll be a test for them, and that's what you need. If you want to play finals footy, you've got to be serious about it and beat the teams. But if they're not to make it, you're right. And Jason Salisic coming in, he's obviously a stalwart of West Perth. And
currently coaching the reserves as well.
Yeah. So to have his influence will be really important for them building as they go forward.
Absolutely, of course. So all 3 sides are involved in big games in round 15. A reminder that every game in round 15 is live, free and in full on the AFL app. This is Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. And that's where we're going to go to now, Mark. The first game of round 14. This is at 2:10 on Saturday, round 15 rather, and it's at 12:10 p.m. on Saturday, and it's live on Channel 7. Peel Thunder and East Perth, first versus fourth, Lane Group Stadium in Mandurah. Peel expected to bounce back where they're hardly beaten at home against the Royal side, looking for win number 8.
Yeah, on the bounce, they're just building perfectly through the back end of the season. I remember you said on Tuesday you thought that maybe they might not lose again for the rest of the year.
They're just looking like a complete side at the moment, East Perth. Their midfield, their forward line, and their back line are all gelling into one. And I said earlier in the season that it was mainly due to the fact that Ross McQueen, their coach, who we spoke to on Tuesday, is able to get the side together and galvanise them into a winning combination. He and Hamish Brayshaw have said that they're the galvanisers of the side that really gets them going for each game.
Seems that way, and this will be a really good test for East Perth. Like you said, going down there is a hard place to win, and well, given it's metro footy, this is almost actually, it's a long way to go down to Mandurah. So the road trip for East Perth, looking forward to seeing, if Peel can really take it up to them because They are the trendsetters, and they are for a reason.
Well, the problem is for Peel Thunder, they'll still have a couple of those Dockers players being elevated to that side because they had a couple of more injuries in that loss to Collingwood at the MCG. So they'll be slightly affected. They'll still put up a good contest, especially through their local players like the likes of Blair Bell and, of course, a couple of his other midfielders. The captain, Ben Hancock, leading from the front. Seb Kuek, I reckon he's going to stay at the Peel side for the time being. He had a good performance, only a couple of goals, but didn't really see a lot of the football, along with the likes of Trey Bennell in his 100th game. So I think they'll be slightly affected, and East Perth, with the depth that they have got, are going to be too strong for them. I mean, I said it before, and I'll say it again, it's likely that they won't drop a game for the rest of the season with the way that they've been playing. Just their brand of football has just been so good to watch.
I'm almost tempted to go against you here, Paul. Maybe I'll just tip Peel.
Don't make the same mistake I did at the WAFL W Grand Final, mate. Do not make the same mistake.
Yeah, no, look, probably will be too strong, but like you mentioned, the depth of Peel, they've got a really good catchment zone. And it's pretty large down there as well, and they've always produced good talent. So it wouldn't surprise me. And you know what? Just as I'm talking, I've decided I'm going to pick Peel.
You're going to pick Peel. Well, their home record is very, very good.
Yeah.
Of course, they've only lost a couple of times this season. I'm going to go East Perth. They're the side to beat.
I'm excited to revisit this next week.
Same. Oh, it's going to be very, very good. But it will be a good game. Of course, that'll be live on Channel 7 at 12:10 at Lane Group Stadium. The next one on Saturday at Leederville Oval is Subiaco needing to bounce back against a Perth side that over the last couple of weeks have been very, very competitive, showing positive glimpses. This one may be a closer game than some may think, Mark.
Yeah, and Subi will be... Look, we sung the praises of Swans on Tuesday, but Subi will be really narky about dropping that one. Not a game they would have expected to drop, and I'm absolutely predicting a really strong bounce back from Subi. Take nothing away from Perth. I think their last couple of weeks has been really improved.
Maybe they should have won against West Coast a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, well, that's what would have annoyed them as well. So, they're a team who are certainly in a development phase, but Subiaco far too strong in this one for mine.
I'll say Subiaco, but not by much. I think Perth will give a good account of themselves. So the battle I reckon I'm really interested to see is the Battle of the Ruckman. Ajang versus Zach Clark, two of the big men of their respective clubs. Ajang's getting better and better. Zach Clark, the dominant ruckman in the competition. Ajang's going to be facing his biggest test this season, and I really am interested to see how he goes about it. Yeah,
well, he will face his biggest test. Ajang was good last week, as we touched on, but Zach Clark, what do you say about him? Probably leading the Sandover.
Probably,
having an absolute dominant presence in the middle of the ground. And not surprisingly, you can see his class. But looking forward to seeing Ajang sort of take him on. And I reckon it's a challenge that he'll embrace. He seems to be that kind of ruckman that he just sort of thrives on, trying to take down the big guys. So
I reckon what Perth may have over Subiaco slightly is the fact that they've got some good prominent forwards, Subiaco, but they just need to fire a little bit more. They've got to rely on a couple of reliable forwards that can kick big bags. The one for Perth, Sam Stubbs, and Harry Quartermain, they can kick big bags. That's what might bring Perth a little closer to the Lions, but Subiaco's overall depth will be too much.
Yep, I think you've nail on the head. You've summed it up well, and they've maybe overachieved, probably within Subiaco. They probably did believe in themselves, but what they've put out has been really strong, and when you say overachieve, but the belief they have is probably growing and growing. Like last week was a bit of a blip on the radar. They will hope, and I reckon. I think you can expect a strong showing, and I reckon they will be too strong. Absolutely.
They'll be back as Subiaco on the winners list. We've both gone with the Lions. Now, Claremont and West Perth at Revo Fitness Stadium. This one is win or bust for West Perth to keep their premiership defence alive. Only problem is in the last 5, only have beaten Claremont once, and that was at the grand final at Leederville Oval. And Claremont, they have not been beaten at Revo Fitness Stadium this year. They've come close to losing a couple of times, but they've kept their unbeaten record intact. And make no mistake about it, this has to be, as far as the stakes are concerned, the game of the round.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like we said, if you want to play finals, you need to beat the teams above you to earn your spot there. And it's a simple challenge for West Perth. That's exactly what they need to do. Hard place to go to win. Yep, and you're spot on there. But I think they'll be up for the challenge,
Tough game, isn't it?
It is, but I've got a sneaky feeling about the Falcons here.
Well, they're obviously going to be inspired by what the game has as far as its stakes are concerned. You win, you stay alive in the race for the 5. You lose, you're pretty much done for the season and the top 5 is set. But Claremont, they'll be irking. They'll be bouncing back after that loss to East Perth because they ran out of gas in the last quarter against East Perth up at Leederville Oval. They had Jai Bolton firing all over. Eastland did a good job in the ruck. Also, a couple of players like Declan Mountford and Tia Miles were seeing plenty of the football and making an impact for 3 quarters at least until that final quarter. But coming to Revo Fitness Stadium, being undefeated there, Claremont at home, against the West Perth side who have hardly been convincing this year at all. Nothing has really gelled. Claremont, I think, will still be too strong. They'll end West Perth's finals hopes, but it will be a very good game. I expect West Perth to really show up and give Claremont a good fright.
Yeah, well, I love this because I'm going the other way.
You're going West Perth?
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm scoffing at a tip again.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing this because I've tipped Peel as well. But no, I'm looking for the veterans to stand up. So you got guys like Nelson who we know can win the ball. Guardinan, Meadows, Aaron Black, of course, previous Sandover medalist. They're the guys in games like this you look to. And I reckon they'll stand up.
Guardinan, he really needs to stand up against a real strong Claremont forward line, led by the likes of DeLacy, who can be really good, and Zach Main-Waring, who's been in really good form over the last fortnight. So Guardinan is going to face a big test. If he can shut down the forward line, that might go a long way to West Perth winning the game.
Yep, agree with that, and that's what's going to need to happen. Look, things will need to go right. Don't get me wrong, but
and in ideal conditions too.
Yep. So I'm excited for this one and I think I'm excited because if they win, then that 5th spot is very hot because
it's going to be on the line.
Yeah, at the moment we're sort of hoping that gap closes, but if West Perth can do that, then it really hots up those last few games of the season.
Certainly does, but of course, must win for West Perth against a very strong Claremont side. Now, the final game of round 15 on Saturday at Steel Blue Oval, Swan Districts and the West Coast Eagles. Many would say that it's going to be an easy win for Swan Districts. I don't think it's going to be easy, especially with how West Coast have played over the last fortnight. They really had a good 3 quarters against West Perth. I mean, if it wasn't a goalless first quarter, maybe they could have given West Perth a fright, or even maybe they could have got the points, but also that draw against the Demons as well. So I'm expecting another competitive showing by the Eagles.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to this one as well. I'll be out there at Steel Blue Oval calling this one and looking forward to it because we saw a great performance last week for Swans. But West Coast continually getting players back, finally, which is really, really good, not just for the AFL side, but for the twos side. It's no good for anybody being in a side that continues to get belted. And with these numbers that are coming back, we're starting to see what West Coast will be capable of. Perhaps we won't see the full extent even this year, but they are getting numbers back. You're right, Paul. And as they continue to do that, they're going to be more and more of a chance. And absolutely, I think they're an outside chance. I'm not going to tip them, but I absolutely do not write off their credentials in this one.
Yeah, and also from a Swan District's point of view, it's one that I reckon they're going to be in for a hard game of football, especially with the numbers that they'll be getting back and the increased endeavour that West Coast have shown over the last couple of weeks. But as we said earlier this week on Tuesday, Swan Districts, they'll be buoyed by that close win over Subiaco at home. It's kept their faint hopes of the 5th place spot alive. They had Tom Edwards there, big last quarter from him. Still can't believe I didn't get him for the votes, but oh well, at least the Golden Grunt will be a nice consolation.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was in prominent form, saw plenty of the football. Jesse Turner, Aidan Clark, they were both fantastic. So I think that midfield battle is going to decide the game, and Swan Districts will get up. Maybe by about 20 to 30 points, I think. It's going to be a competitive game, but Swan Districts will pull away.
Yeah, I can't disagree too much with you there. I hope it's a real close one. I am excited that it is at Steel Blue Oval, which means the Golden Grunt is in play again. But I think it will be the Swans who get up. I'll go a little less.
Okay.
Maybe out of optimism. Let's go 16 points.
16, not a bad call. Not a bad call indeed. Okay, just before we wrap up today, Mark, a bit of a question for the fans here. It was off the back of a story that we saw in the paper yesterday about the WACA ground, confident that it will complete its facelift. And that got us thinking. Once East Fremantle complete their temporary residency, so to speak, at the WACA, playing their home games, should it be used as a neutral venue for future matches? Give it like a real match of the round feel.
I don't mind it at all. I found it bizarre to see footy at the WACA again on the telly, but remembering back to sort of the 90s when I'd watch some of the AFL teams play there. But Look, yes, use it because it's a nice venue. It's a good venue, particularly with this redevelopment going on. It would be a shame to see it, go to waste. So I'm all for it. Like, I suppose the argument is, teams might not want to lose their home ground advantage, but when you're playing in Perth, it's not like there's any air travel involved or anything.
No.
That I think it could be a nice little feature. Yeah.
What I'd like to see, I think, as far as that ground is concerned, but back in those days when all the WAFL finals, including the grand final, was held at Subiaco Oval, this may be a crazy idea, but it could be good. With the WACA maybe going to 10,000 people as far as the capacity is concerned, maybe bring the finals matches except the grand final there.
Yeah, if they think that 10,000 is around about the mark that they'll get, then absolutely fill it out. I think the WAFL will always be wanting to get the maximum amount of ticket attendance. But are you going to get more than 10,000 people going to a final?
Possibly.
Yeah,
not,
maybe. So I don't know. That's probably something they'd have to weigh up. But I don't mind the idea at all. I think if you've got a venue like that you can use and really capitalise on, then do it.
And the ground is good to play on as well. A lot of the players really like playing there. It's hard, fast, but very firm as well. And, running in and bouncing the ball across centre wing, the midfielders will certainly love that. Fans, let us know what you think. Should the WACA be used as a neutral venue in the future once the redevelopment is completed and East Fremantle move back to Shark Park once their redevelopment is completed? Let us know in the comment section below or on our podcast feeds on wherever you get your podcasts. Big week of football, Mark, coming up. Round 15. Can't wait for it. All the best with the call over at Steel Blue Oval.
Thank you, Paul. Likewise, where are you this week?
Don't know this week, but got my fingers crossed. Maybe I'd want to be at Revo Fitness Stadium. I reckon that game is going to have plenty of stakes for both teams, but hopefully I'll find out in due course.
Very good, and looking forward to it. Been enjoyable once again, and look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Thanks, Mark. All the very best. And thank you to all our listeners and viewers for tuning in to another edition of Around the WAFL. It's the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. We've got socials on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a big thumbs up and like our pages. We really do appreciate it. You can watch every episode on the BackChat Studios YouTube channel or listen on wherever you get your podcast. We'll review round 15 on Tuesday here on Around the WAFL. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next time.